Hello everyone, and welcome to part 4.5. So the last part of the engine tutorial. Now, what is the purpose of building a army engine over fewer unit factories? Because you'd have more resources if I didn't spam all of these, which is true. I would have 1,500 for each of them. But in the situation you build this primarily in the mid-game, and you've decided to expand, as if you've watched the previous tutorial, we're going to have an economic advantage over our enemy. Let's say we have 12,000 resources, and the enemy only have 7,500. The enemy have two factories that can only produce 2 little tanks every now and then. So here they've got their 2 little tanks. Oh yay, I produced a tank. I produced a quad bike. Wow, it's so good. Now they've lost a lot of resources, and it's going to be slower to produce those forces. Now we're going to be buying our cheap little crabs. Let's make our little red crab here. And since I'm going to be spamming one of these every 30 seconds, sure, their forces might be more powerful. However, what we're using is just to dwindle down their valuable resources in the early game. That is the entire point. We have money, they do not. Our goal, hurt their money more, stop their units getting produced. So this here, every 30 seconds, we produce more and more of these. So in 1 minute, we have quite a large army of just crabs. Bang, now we've got more crabs. And this here can be instantly replenished in another 1 minute. And we're also adding some ranged units more and more and more and more. Because what's some really important to take note of, not only did we have more to begin with when we started producing, but let's say we're gaining 5,000 every minute. But this person, they can only get 7,500 every 3 minutes. So who's winning now? We are. Because we are able to produce in the same time that they're producing 7,500, we're producing 1,500. So we are able to continually grind them down. Let me show you what this is like. So we've built our army. We're already swung at their base with one smaller army, this one here, which consisted of, let's see, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 of our scissor fellas, about 30 crabs, and that's just at the very beginning. That is the first army. And then the second army we've managed to produce in just a few minutes is already, hold on, let me just show you it. Yep. So then the second army that we produce is the same thing, but more, because now we've got 3 scorpions chucked in there. And that's just gonna continue over and over again. And now we've produced Goliaths and more crabs, and we eventually build more and more and more and more and more. Look at this, this is like the 5th time we've sent this. But now we've got 4 Goliaths and 5 Scorpions, and we're continually pumping these out. Every few minutes we've sent another army, and the enemy slowly but surely gets grinded down. Now I did make a mistake over here. I forgot to put the resource collection pits over here, so my crabs slowed down their resource production, so it was only 2,400 here, but I did manage to fix that. And by the end of the game, the last swarm, because I started, if you see over here now, I start producing more large pits. I build another engine, and this engine at the end is literally just built. This one over here will only be built for large units, and then every minute or so I will be producing 7 or 8 scorpions, and then another minute I'll produce maybe another 2 or 3 Goliaths to throw in with the 7 or 8 scorpions. They cannot keep up with that. It's just a slow and gradual grind to dust. Their tank production is simply too slow and inefficient to keep up, because they didn't expand, and they didn't take the resources, and they didn't contest us early. They allowed us to get an engine going, and once we get an engine going, we utilize our economic advantage to pressure them, to make them use their money, and over time it becomes unsustainable for them to keep fighting us. It'll get to the point where producing one tank for them is just dramatically disadvantageous to them. Like, I'm over here able to produce scorpions, and I did mess up my economy on the left of the map, but it doesn't matter because there's just so many Goliaths and scorpions constantly in production that it doesn't matter. They cannot win. It's not possible. This is about, I'd say, at the 14 mark of the game, 15th mark. This is what happens if you do not attack an enemy who expands rapidly. I could have done this better because I did make a macro mistake on the left, and so I cost about 1 or 2 minutes of actual resource gaining. I could have probably had these 3 constantly pumping out scorpions as well, so I would have had 3 more scorpions by now, but I made a mistake. And that is the point of an engine, to press your economic advantage and grind the enemy by replenishing units faster than they can. Thanks for watching. I will be going over some more advanced details on how to manage your economy. Ironically, I made a mistake in this game with that. And that'll be part 5, so subscribe and like if you enjoyed the series so far.